Okay, timer went off. I wish you could smell how good it smells in here right now. Yum. I can't find my other mitt, so I'm mismatched. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. Welcome back to Maxi's Kitchen. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm gonna show you how to make my favorite eggplant parmesan. I love this recipe because it's so much healthier than traditional eggplant parm, and it's also so much easier to make, you'll see. This one is definitely on the dinner rotation at our house, so excited to show you how to make it. Let's hop in. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut our eggplants in 1/2-inch rounds, and I first usually just cut off like the top and the bottom. With traditional eggplant parm, you're cutting the pieces super thin and then you're breading each one of those. This is an amazing recipe because it's so easy. You're cutting them in 1/2-inch thick rounds, which I know at first looks too thick, but when they cook in the oven, they'll lose some of that moisture, so they'll get thinner and the flavors will stand out a little bit more as they shrink and lose water. This is 4 pounds of eggplant. At the store, they have a little scale where you can measure it. So I said 3 to 4 pounds for the recipe. So 2 to 3 large eggplants. What is the plural of eggplant? Who knows? Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna lay the eggplants onto baking sheets. Perfect fit. Generously drizzle olive oil on both sides. So we'll start with one, we'll salt and pepper, and then we'll do the other side. And you don't wanna go too crazy with the salt because again, as the eggplant cooks, it'll lose water and all of the flavors will become more concentrated, but just like a light salting on both sides, and then pepper. Okay, flip the eggplant over. And now we're gonna do generous olive oil on this side. And you do wanna make sure that they get a decent amount of olive oil because that's what's gonna help the eggplant get kind of like jammy and caramelized as it cooks. And then again, hit it with the salt and pepper. Okay, hello from the oven. Now we're gonna bake these for about 15 to 20 minutes per side, depending on your oven, at 450 degrees. Okay, while the eggplant's roasting, we're gonna prepare the rest of our ingredients. And you'll see that there's really not that much to prepare, which is why I love this recipe. It's so easy. What we're gonna do is we have fresh basil here, which I washed, and we're just gonna slice this in thin strips. And a good way, like a good little tip for slicing herbs like basil, if you wanna get it into strips, get like a grouping and then kind of layer the leaves on top of themselves. It doesn't need to be perfect. Roll it up as best as you can. And then what you can do is you can come in with your knife and just go in little strips. And the roll will help you with that. So there we go. We got our little strips of basil. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Okay, the other thing that we have here is a fresh ball of mozzarella. Love me a good mozz ball. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna slice this into like chunks, and you'll further kind of tear it up as you put it on. So this definitely doesn't need to be perfect, but we're just kind of breaking it down a little bit. Delish. So the eggplant is halfway done baking. Let's check on it. Okay. So you can see how they're starting to kind of shrivel up a little bit. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip them over. So you can see the bottom is starting to get kind of that beautiful golden brown color. Gorgeous. Okay, back in the oven. And here's the other tray. And another tip is I always reverse which one was on the top or the bottom in the oven halfway through too. They'll cook a little bit differently. And the last thing that we're doing in terms of prep is we're toasting some panko breadcrumbs in olive oil with a little bit of salt. Okay, timer went off. Let's see. So these look perfect. They're just kind of golden brown. You see how they've shrunken down a little bit, and they're kind of just like jammy and delicious in the center. So we'll go ahead and take these out and now we can assemble. Okay, so now we're ready to assemble our eggplant parm. I love making it in my little Le Creuset baker. You can obviously do like a big glass baking dish too. I don't know, for some reason I think it just looks really cute in like a Dutch oven. So that's what I'm gonna do it in today. Something that makes this recipe really easy is I just use jarred marinara sauce. You definitely can make your own, and sometimes I do make my own sauce, but I think if we're, it's a weeknight, we're trying to move a little bit faster, I think jarred sauce is totally fine. I really like Rayo's, and then I also like a brand called Michael's of Brooklyn is another good one. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by lining the bottom of our pot here with sauce. So you can see what I'm doing. So just like a thin layer of sauce. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna layer in the eggplant. So we're just gonna basically get an even layering of eggplant across the bottom of the pot. We're gonna add actually a little bit of more sauce on top of the eggplant. And again, not a really thick layer, just kind of getting each of the pieces some moisture and a little bit of a coating. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna sprinkle in some basil and just get that evenly distributed. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab some of our toasted breadcrumbs and just get a layer of that in. Now, traditionally with eggplant parm, you'd be cutting the eggplant really thin and then breading it. This is so easy because you're just sprinkling some breadcrumbs in to give a little bit of that essence, but it's also much lighter because you're not having like every single piece covered in breadcrumbs. You're just getting kind of some of that essence. And then the last step for each layer is just gonna be sprinkling some Parmesan cheese. The mozzarella we're gonna save, and I just put that on the top. If you love mozz, do it. Put it in the middle too. There is no right way to do this. These are all just suggestions. Great. So now we're gonna just continue layering it up. And one thing actually is I try to like stagger, because like, you know, where the edges of the eggplant meet, I try to stagger with each layer so that like all of the edges aren't lining up on top of each other. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I do. Okay, so again, start by layering in your eggplant. Then we're gonna go ahead and add our sauce. Next, we're gonna add some basil. Hit it with the breadcrumbs. Okay, there's our parm. And then we repeat. And now I know you've been wondering about this poor mozzarella sitting over there alone. Now what we're gonna do is I just kind of like break it into little pieces and put it on the top of I keep wanting to call it a lasagna, on the top of the eggplant parm. And this will get all melty and gooey and delicious. Okay, and there we are before baking. Okay, hi again from the oven. Now we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes at 450, and we'll broil the top at the end so it gets nice and bubbly and golden brown. Okay, timer went off. I wish you could smell how good it smells in here right now. Yum. I can't find my other mitt, so I'm mismatched. Oh my gosh, so beautiful. And there's our beautiful eggplant parm bubbling away. And you can just use a spoon. Okay, now for my favorite part of the video, the taste test. Literally so good. Every time I make this, I'm like floored by how good it is. The eggplant develops so much flavor because you roast it in the oven for so long, and it has this like really kind of custardy texture almost, and it pairs so well with the breadcrumbs. You can taste like the beautiful kind of olive oil and toastedness of those. The cheese adds a really delicious texture. It's just a really, really fantastic dish. I hope you try it and let me know what you think in the comments. But as always, if you made it this far, you know how much I appreciate you watching the video. Thank you. I'm sending you so much love. Like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any ideas, suggestions. What do you want to see next? Sending so much love.